Hello, everybody. Let's talk about this first assignment. And the goal here is to produce some descriptive statistics. In every research project, we always provide descriptive statistics initially. We do that so we can ensure that our studies can be replicated if somebody chooses to replicate them. So people need to know what our sample looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and let me read the assignment. Your first assignment is to produce descriptive statistics and figures using the assigned dataset, my first dataset.sav. You download it here. You will complete the descriptive statistics table and add figures to the assignment one worksheet, which I downloaded, and I'll show you in a second. Note that you will produce histograms for each of the quantitative or so quantitative, interval ratio, continuous, those are synonymous variables and bar charts for each of the categorical or ordinal binary. You can also think of these as being two of the three types of discrete variables I discussed. The figures will be copied and pasted directly from SPSS into the Word document. Following the appropriate figure title, please use the codebook for information about the dataset. The codebook is what gives you information about what each of the variables is. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the worksheet. Here's your worksheet. Let me make this a little larger. So you'll see that you have each variable, the variable levels. N is for the sample size for each of those variable levels, and the proportion is for the proportion of the total. So we have sex, free or low cost lunch, past 30 days alcohol use, past 30-day smoking, binary 30-day smoking. So these are the same variables except for one of them has one, two, three, four, five levels, and the other one has just two levels. So it's binary. It's the same variable. I just cut it so that you had did not smoke versus else. Four level body mass index variable. This was a continuous variable that I made into quartiles, four different levels, basically equal. I mean, they're as equal as possible in sample size. And then here are the continuous variables. So again, we have BMI here. This is the continuous version of BMI. For the continuous variables, we just need the mean and the standard deviation. Okay. And here's where you place the figures. Like for sex, we'll put the figure right here. So backspace, I'll get this right. I'll do one of each. And then for, say, self-esteem, we'll do a histogram as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. It's Piper in the background speaking. It's my parrot. He's like, speaking, so we'll do sex and self-esteem. Well, yeah, those two. All right, so I'm in SPSS. Again, you cannot do this assignment on a computer that does not have SPSS on it because you can never open a program unless you've downloaded it. I mean, you can download the file, but you won't be able to open it unless you have the program downloaded on your computer. So let's say here's our data set, my first data set. We look under variable view, you'll see the variable names. You'll see their labels, variable labels, the value labels. Like for sex, we have 0 equals female and 1 is equal to male. Of course, for self-esteem, there are no value labels, right? It's a continuous variable. You see the symbol that shows it's continuous in SPSS. The ruler, or what they call scale variable, is indicative of a continuous variable. Circles for nominal variables. The bars are for ordinal variables. All right. So I'm not going to do this using syntax. I'm going to do this using the drop-down tab. You can do this with syntax as well, but for this assignment, I'm looking at the drop-down. So I need for all the variables that have the circles and the bars by them, those are my discrete variables, right? And for those variables, we're going to produce bar charts. We need frequency distributions. sample size for each level and the proportion. So let's go to analyze. We go to descriptive statistics. We'll go to frequencies. Under frequencies, if I click a variable that I want, like free or low cost lunch, and I use the control tab, I just press the control tab to hold it down, and I can just click all the ones that I want, right? And I can just drag them in here. There's more than that, but I just wanted to show you how to do that. Now, since I'm only showing you how to do one of these and you got to do the rest, I'm going to focus on the variable sex. Statistics, well, I just need frequencies, which I'll get anyway, and proportions. So those are just by default, but you could add other statistics if you want. I want bar charts though. Those are the appropriate type of chart that's the appropriate type of chart for when we have discrete data. And we can either use frequencies or percentages as the output. So you'll see that on the y-axis, right? So I'll go ahead and just use frequencies and hit continue and hit OK. And what I'll get is the frequency values here. Frequency values, so there were 176 females and 213 males out of a total of 389. There were also 4 people who had missing data. So the total data set is 393 individuals. My percent, I'll use valid percent because unless somebody asks you for the missing data, the percent includes missing data. So without missing data, we only have 99% of the data. With the missing data, we make up 100%. As you know, a sample space includes every possible outcome or every possible event of being female or male. And then you have a cumulative percentage, we see an accumulation of values going from 0 to 45 after we include females to 100 after we include males. So that's what we need. So I need 176 and 213. I'm going to go ahead and add those into the data set, into the table, excuse me. 176 and 213. Double check that I have that correctly. Yeah, 176. Okay. And females made up 45.2%. 45.2%. 2%. That means we have 54.8% males. Okay. Again, these have to add up to 100%. So you don't really need to remember both of them. All right, so that's that. Next step is to add the figure. Now I'm going to put it right here. And let's go to the output. I right click here for copy. I think by default it copies it as a picture. Control V for paste, and there you go. I got my figure. All right. So now this for some reason added extra lines, which I don't want. There you go. One thing I could do is I could go here and I like to, there you go, move things along in the right way. I might actually put a border around this too to make it a little better. Put it like a border. Border makes it more professional looking. There you go. And now I can move it around where I want it to go. And it should be after number 1, right? Bar chart for 6. There you go. Perfect. All right. Cool. I'll remove this as well. Just cleaning up, that's all. All right. Second one I'm going to do is one of the continuous variables. So again, this is what you have to do for your assignment, right? The continuous variable, I'm looking at self-esteem. Okay, back here. I'm going to analyze descriptive statistics. I need means and standard deviations. There are different ways of doing this. One way of doing it is to use the explore command. The explore command is a really great way to get a lot of information about a variable. So here I have the labels, and if sometimes I know the variable name, but I don't know the label. So if I right click here, I can choose what I want to display. And here I want the variable name. So you see, it makes it a little easier for me. So I want self-esteem. That's, in this case, my dependent list. I mean, I could divide this by sex or something like that and get more information. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put self-esteem in my my dependent list for statistics. Well, it's going to give me means and standard deviations. I really don't, at this moment, I'm not interested in these, but there's so many other things you can do with this command. Plots I don't like this stem leaf plot. It's kind of an old-fashioned plot that was used probably before there were computers like we have now. I want a histogram. If I wanted information about the normality of the variable, I could click one of these, but that's all I want for this assignment. So I hit continue, I hit OK. All right, I get a lot of information here on the variable. For this assignment, I just want the mean and the standard deviation. All right, mean and the standard deviation. So my mean is 4.9, not the standard error. My mean is 4.90. I'm going to put 4.90 here. 4.90. And I need my standard deviation, 0.985, 0.985. Always put a 0 in front of the decimal place if there's not another number there. Um, I'll explain the difference between standard deviation and standard error soon, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. Coming up in a couple of weeks. We need a histogram. We produced a histogram. Here it is. Now there's other output here too, like this box whisker plot. It shows where the interquartile range, middle 50% is, and the median. But that's not what I'm asking for here. I'm asking for the histogram. By the way, see, the histogram itself provides you with the mean and the standard deviations. That's kind of cool. And you could produce this also using the frequency command. It'll give you the same thing. However, with the frequency command, you'll get these giant tables with the number of individuals at each value. And sometimes that's kind of, it's like too much. So I'm going to copy this and paste it where it belongs. Right here. Well, it's going to do that anyway for some reason. So I'll have to fix this. First thing I always do when I modify a table is I like one of these where it allows you to move the figure within the text, like this one does. And then I'm also going to, so it says picture format here. So we're going to go to picture format, stick a border. So it looks nice. And I'm going to move this histogram for self-esteem. There it is. Put it where I want it. If you move it to the right place, it'll center it. Let's see. It should center it. That's good. It's good enough. And then get rid of these extra spaces. And there you go. So you do this for each of the continuous variables, and you do this for each of the discrete variables. And that's what I wanted to show you how to do. Save this video so you can get this assignment correct. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.